Howdy, howdy! We are alive on a Friday night with a brand new episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds to talk about. Only one episode to chomp on, to devour on today. We're going to devour it from the inside out. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this. I'm glad to have Joel joining us tonight, who is a horror movie aficionado.
Oh, yes.
Did I say that word right? You know the Italian
You
better
did.
than I do, Taylor.
You did.
So.
Yeah, it sounded good.
He knows horror. She knows Italian. I'm just here to click on stuff and move things along. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about the what will surely become to be known as the Klingon Z word episode. So
Yes.
let's dive in. Bon appetit. See, I know some French terms too. So.
Look at that.
But
Throw some Klingon in there and we'll be set.
yeah, what's the Klingon for time to dine or whatever? Maybe review Star Trek 6 and see what they say at the dinner table.
I don't know offhand, yeah.
Well, let's get on our way to Kenfori. I'm Fatheree,
I'm Joel.
I'm Miss Taylor.
and this is Tex-Trek.
Engage.
Welcome back aboard the Starship Texas for the 340th installment of the Tex-Trek podcast, the home of Star Trek fandom from deep in the heart of Texas, where we take a deep look at Star Trek old and new. And tonight we are discussing Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori, written by Onitra Johnson and Bill Wolkoff, and directed by Dan Liu. And before we get started talking about the Klingon Z-word episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, just a little bit of quick housekeeping. First and foremost, we need to give a big thank you and shout out to the amazing people in the Tex-Trek Patreon who keep the Starship Texas flying and keep the weekly live show coming out. So thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. Starfleet Sohel, Cake is Eternal, Crazy Dutchie, Joanne Robertson, John Dot, Geek Filter, Quark Spar, Matthew Averett, Braxton, Chuck A, Joel Vallis, Arthur Lamoureux, our associate producer Chris Garris, Dave Farabee, Dave A. Gregory, and our anonymous supporters. And I'd like to announce to everyone that we have a Patreon watch party scheduled for August 16th. So coming up in a few weeks, it's going to be a fun one. We also have STLV in August 6th through the 10th. I'll be at Las Vegas for that con, along with Joel, along with Taylor, along with Rachel, who I see is in the chat. And speaking of Rachel, I know this episode is a particular favorite of hers, but in honor of our Vegas outing, the watch party episodes we watch on August 16th, that's going to be a double feature. We're watching the Royale, which I know she has a soft spot for, as well as the Deep Space Nine casino episode, Bada Bing, Bada Boom. Or is it Bada Bing, Bada Bang? I don't know, one of those. I don't know.
Offhand, I don't remember.
But the one where we see Galron as a dude with a visor counting money, because they had Robert O'Reilly play that guy who says, oh, that's the saddest story I ever heard, or whatever he said. I had that mean line to Ezri Dax as the cocktail waitress. But yes, that episode. And the Royale is the weird casino episode of TNG where they meet a a Texan who's shooting dice with Data, and
He gets a hat. It's great.
yeah. So that'll be fun, and we'll be having some fun in Vegas ourselves at the Rio. So not the best casino in the world, but we love it because we have a fun ass convention there every year. So looking forward to all that fun in August. And if you want to attend the Patreon watch party on August 16th, you can come into the Patreon as little as $2 a month. But if you can afford to be more generous, there are some additional perks as well. So please check that out if you're interested in supporting the show. And if you can help at the bridge crew level or higher, we'll throw an extra watch party for your birthday. So if anyone currently supports at the bridge crew level or higher, and you have an August birthday, let me know. Shoot me a message in the Tex-Trek Discord server. We will get that scheduled. But yeah, and just everyone else who watches or listens to us, thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever. Just want to remind people to please help us out by subscribing on YouTube or rating us wherever you listen to your podcast. That really helps grow the show. And if you can help financially on Patreon, it still goes a long way if you can give us those ratings, subscriptions, and share our content. Tell your friends about us. But with all that out of the way, in addition to the STLV convention fast approaching, there's some other big news. If you're watching us live on Friday, we're the day before the Star Trek Universe panel at San Diego Comic-Con. If you are watching or listening to this later, then please go check out the cool coverage that Trek Culture is doing, the Trek Culture YouTube channel, as well as their website, part of the What Culture family. But there's going to be coverage there of any reveals, any news. So all this stuff we're getting from Starfleet Academy, all these, now we've known about these actors for a long time. Now we're finally getting to see the characters they're playing. There's going to be trailer breakdowns, whatever the big news that was out of the weekend. I don't know yet because we're recording on Friday, but
Yeah.
we know Starfleet Academy and Strange New Worlds are both going to be represented in that Star Trek Universe panel, and I'm going to be helping Trek Culture cover all that over the weekend. So go check that out. We're expecting some really big, fun stuff to be announced and revealed at the Star Trek Universe panel. So now that I've gotten all of that out of the way, I think we're ready to dig into this episode.
I think so.
So, Taylor, would you like to start off the Shuttle to Kenfori talk and give the first opening statement of the evening?
Sure. I thought this episode was enjoyable. I don't think it's memorable, especially for it to have the Z word kind of characters. It kind of seems funny to say, like, I don't think it'll be a memorable episode for me. But I did like how all that was handled. I like the look of the costume department for the undead in this. But I had a few issues with some of the hairstyles, which I know that a lot of people have already complained about. So, but yeah, I thought it was an all-around good episode, but just an okay one, I think, for me.
Just an okay episode. That's probably fair. I've heard other people say similar things. I'll just for me though, this is actually my favorite episode of season 3 thus far, which I guess isn't saying a lot 3 episodes in, but with these short 10 episode seasons, that's like we're like a third of the way through the season now. But
Yeah.
I didn't like everything though. So there's a couple things I'm torn on. Like, I'm happy that Ortega's is finally getting an arc. We've been screaming about #Mortegas since season 1. But I wish that her like Gorn PTSD, and now like we have like the stressed out pilot who can't be relied on to fly the ship. It's very similar to Detmer in season 3 of Disco, and it's just it's very similar to Laon's Gorn trauma, and it just feels a little stale and trite. But they are giving Ortega's an arc, so I guess yay for that. On a more positive note, though, it's funny to say on a more positive note, and I'm about to talk about zombies, but the Z word of the episode, I did like the zombies being used as a feature, and not the core focus of the episode, because they could have done like a whole episode kind of exploring the science fiction concept of like, oh yeah, this, you know, Moss experiment that went wrong, and now, you know, these zombies, it just made it all about the zombies. We have to find a way to stop the zombies or cure the zombies or whatever.
Right.
But I'm glad they didn't do that. It's just a feature there to tell this other story about, you know, Pike trying to save Battelle, as well as M'Benga dealing with some of his baggage. And they're telling a story of like the, you know, like the monster inside, you know, even like with, Ortega's is dealing with these monstrous things, like these personal things like inside of her that's part of her, but she doesn't want to, deal with or address, or, you know, like kind of like M'Benga's in a similar spot. It's like that, you know, they're represented by like that moss that's devouring these people from the inside out, and eventually it just takes over their body, consumes them, and makes them into a ravenous monster zombie thing, even though M'Benga doesn't want it to be called that. But I loved the Pike and M'Benga bromance. It reminded me of the first episode when they're like, oh yeah, I went out, you know, camping in Kenya with him, and he came out on an exploration of Mojave with me, you know, whatever. It's like, oh yeah, those two dudes do like to hang out. We haven't really seen that. So there's a little bit, I guess, among the Lotus Eaters, but I liked that bromance a lot. I liked the use of Una in this episode. I love seeing her in command, and I like what they were doing with her in season 3. You know, she was really integral in that first episode with the Gorn stuff, and I kind of, you know, it's kind of hard to write a first officer character. You know, you have to give them important things to do, but it can't like outshine the captain. So I like the way they handled her here. I thought they could have used a little bit more Una in Wedding Bell Blues, but I like that conflict between her and Ortega, so I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. And I'm surprised they circled back to Ambassador Ra from Under the Cloak of War, which they, you know, they kind of kept it ambiguous exactly what happened behind closed doors when M'Benga and Ra got in that tussle that resulted in a dead ambassador. But you know, M'Benga just says here, he's like, look, I could have you know, stopped him without killing him, but he gave me a good enough excuse, and I'm so glad that he's dead. So I liked the Klingon revenge story. They kind of put a twist on it. You know, we saw in TNG and Lower Decks, you know, sometimes if you kill a Klingon's family member, then their family will come after you. And I like it here is that she was not mad, like, hey, you son of a bitch, you killed my dad. It was like, hey, you son of a bitch, you killed him before I could. And just the fanboy in me loved the dance of ships we got with this D7 and Connie, and just those classic Matt Jeffries designs that have been updated for this modern show, but they still look so fucking cool on screen. They really complement each other. Anytime I see that Klingon D7 battlecruiser and that Constitution class Enterprise on screen together, I'll get a little happy at least. So, Joel, you called it out that Strange New Worlds does the best ship action when they try to do submarine episode type.
I wrote that down.
Yeah, so we kind of got some of that here. We're trying to like sneak past the Klingons.
There's parts that are fully that. When they're silently trying to flow past them.
But I'll shut up now. Joel, why don't you tell us more about your thoughts on this? I ran a little long. I got kind of excited.
Okay, well, you got excited. It's fine. Yeah, it was one of the things in our episode, the 4 things we wanted. One of them was submarine-style ship action, and we did get this here. And as they tried to silently float past the Klingon battlecruiser to get to the planet to beam up Pike and M'Benga. So that was great, and it was sort of unexpected. It took me a second to be like, oh, God, they're doing the thing I wanted. Because it snuck up in an episode where there's all this other stuff going on. So, yes, the whole Una hair and make, that was really weird. But I think yesterday Rachel figured out why. We'll get to that later, probably.
Yeah.
But we also have zombies, and I'm this huge horror guy, and I found a list on Letterboxd of, like, try to the movie rating review thing you can do yourself, and they had like 600 zombie movies. I'd seen 120 of them. So, and most of them, probably aren't good, but this was really picking up from the good ones. So I was very excited by that, even if they're not a big part. And it's fun to have 2 zombies with Klingons because they don't even need to headshot. They can just vaporize them. It's fun. So we got that plus all the M'Benga stuff leading back to, the previous episode, which came out of the blue, and that was unexpected and nice. And then we even get the payoff from the last episode with the Rongovian just coming in strangely and giving him a drink. And they reached back to a number of things, pulled it out, and then put it together with, Ortegas and all this other stuff. So, I think it's probably my favorite so far this season too. I like the last episode a lot too. But
I mean, to be fair, you're a sucker for zombies. I'm a sucker for Klingons. So we were both easy marks for this one. But I think there is like a lot to compliment. But shall we go into the episode breakdown then, and we'll go through this whole episode beat by beat. Starting off at the very beginning, let's talk about that opening. We open with Pike doing a log entry explaining that Batel is about to leave the Enterprise. She's going to her own command somewhere. We still don't know where she's supposed to go, but she might not get there on time because she's passed out on the floor, as Pike discovers when he arrives to his quarters. So we get that dramatic cut to sickbay, and then we learn basically Batel has, I don't mean to be insensitive by this, but it's like, when someone has like a terminal illness. She's got like what I just put in my notes is like Gorn cancer, but she has this aggressive Gorn cancer, this invasive tissue in her body. It will kill her unless they get this miracle cure MacGuffin, the Chimera Blossom. But they hit the ground running pretty fast with the story. We get in sickbay, we get a lot of exposition thrown at us, but the basics are they need this rare flower. There's a chemical compound that M'Benga says can move invasive molecules out through cell membranes. I was like, that sounds very kind of like hand wavy, but we eventually learn like there's more to this stuff than what they're telling Pike here at the beginning. But the important part is that this flower can only be found on one planet, which is inconveniently a bitch to go to. The planet Kenfori. It's a no-fly zone. The Federation and the Klingon Empire, as part of the treaty that ended the war in Discovery Season 1, they've agreed that neither one of them has access to this planet, but that's where the Federation had a research facility where they were studying this plant. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the sickbay scene.
I didn't even mention Batel in my recap because there's so much going on this episode, which isn't to say these scenes aren't great and moves her stuff forward too, of course. But this is some fun Spock stuff too here, and Then I was thinking, I was like, where have I heard Chimera before? I was like, that was the MacGuffin virus in Mission Impossible 2, I think, also. Chimera virus, yeah.
And then they have a Chimerium. I know, like, the Chimera is a thing from mythology, but they had Chimerium was the David Mack invented substance they were mining in Prodigy, right? That made the Diviner have cloaking technology. But there's originally their plan, because like they've all talked to Batel, like everyone in that sickbay scene, like they know more about what's going on than Pike. But originally the plan is for M'Benga and Spock to go get the plant together, and then Pike says like, no, I need to be the one to do it. But I like that line from Batel, like, see, I told you he would do this. And then I like that line from M'Benga. He says, "You insult me, Captain," when Pike says, if we get caught, then the responsibility should fall on me. So I should go, Spock, not you. And then M'Benga's like, "You insult me, Captain." Because he doesn't get caught. He never gets caught, apparently.
That's right.
Until this episode, because they do get caught.
Well, he makes it out. Does that count? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they do. They're temporarily caught. I guess he got caught in Among the Lotus Eaters also, but they had memory issues then too. So
yeah. So what are you gonna do?
And we also have a quick scene on the bridge near the beginning of the episode where we see Ortega's back to work. They had like that 3 months before the wedding to grow her hand back. But there's some comments about her being off duty for a little bit. She says, oh, didn't you all miss my fancy flying? And later in the episode, they talk about her being back to work too soon, possibly. But they explain that there's a dust belt at the treaty line they're not supposed to cross to go to this planet. So they're going to have to do some sneaky stuff and just send the captain and doctor alone in a shuttlecraft. And they also establish here that there's like a little bit of tension between Una and Ortega's. Una stressing about like we have to stay on the Federation side of the line, and Ortega's is like all excited to be. She's very hawkish. She's like she's ready to fight some Klingons.
She's in her element.
But I thought they did a good job with like the look of the dust belt, like all those asteroids and stuff, and then they do like this cool shot when the shuttlecraft is leaving the Enterprise, and then like the camera zooms in to the close-ups on Pike and M'Benga.
Yeah, that shuttle looks so huge. Was it always that big? I don't remember, but this episode it made it look even bigger. I don't know if it is.
Yeah, sometimes it looks pretty big, but it's the same shuttle they've been using.
I assume. Why would?
But yeah, this is where they kind of start the Pike M'Benga bromance stuff of M'Benga enjoying Pike's flying, I guess, like riding a bike with fusion powered thrusters, and they start reminiscing about like old missions together and stuff. And then they encounter what they at first suspect is a mine, but it turns out to be a Klingon warning beacon saying "Go back or die."
Who knew the Klingons were so nice?
I thought this was funny because if I received a Klingon beacon with that warning, I'd be like, man, I think I'd take this seriously because not a lot scares the Klingons, Like I don't feel like they would have like a lot of warning. Like I'm thinking that this is like a buoy out there as a warning because there's zombies on the planet, not because it's like a no-fly zone necessarily or a restricted zone.
Right. No, the Klingons seem to know that something's up on this planet, because even later when like the Klingons are actually like set foot on the planet, Baitha has that line. Well, she also has that line, doesn't she say something like they say whoever comes down here never returns, so let's go. Like she's ready to die basically, and I guess like the two dudes who came with her also are. But I
assume they're from her house and are in trouble too. So, but who knows? They never really say. But there's probably no honor in fighting the zombies either, normally, in defeating them at least.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like a big zombie horde, that could be a worthy opponent, I guess.
Well, I'm trying to figure out why they have the beacon. I'm trying to think, but
yeah, I think it was just because like
headcanon. It's all headcanon.
This planet is fucked. Like stay the hell away.
Even Klingon OSHA doesn't like it.
Yeah. But no, it was if you're watching this episode without any knowledge that it's the Klingon zombie episode, this would be kind of an exciting event in the opening. This is all before like the opening credits and the teaser of the episode. Like, oh shit, what could be on this planet? That the Klingons would be terrified of it and put up this warning beacon. Anything else before we talk about the arrival on the planet?
No, I think that's it for this.
Okay, let's talk about the arrival on Kenfori. Before the Klingons show up, before the zombie action begins, I like the look of it, the jungle look. Like it does kind of look like fake plants, but I mean, like that's part of Star Trek to me. It's like you land on planets that have fake looking
part
plants.
Of all visual media, really.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to actually, go to Hawaii and film.
But I like the distinction between like the green forest and then like the dark abandoned research lab, and there's something kind of something that's as kind of subtly unsettling.
Yeah, there's atmosphere built here.
Like that idea of like being like this lush, beautiful, seemingly should be full of life jungle and it just be totally dead silent and there's no signs of animal life. That would be a little freaky, I think.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
reminded me of the Alien episode with Fassbender. I think it was the second one. I can't remember if it was like Prometheus or if it was Covenant. But he's like on that planet and there's like no life at all. Like there's no insects and anything like that. And it's like eerie quiet. And they're all kind of not sure what's going on. And then they slowly get picked off by an alien. That's what I was thinking. Like as soon as he was like, there's no life except for plant life.
Yeah. It's weird that they say like no signs of life, but then they're like, well, there's flora but no fauna. Like, well, technically flora is, I guess, just like the Starfleet shorthand is like when you're talking about life signs, you're talking about like animal life.
Yeah. And it's not something that comes up normally that you're missing one of them. So
Matthew Averett in the live audience says, "What's the opposite of life signs? Death signs." So yeah, why don't they should scan for death signs? But they also
bring that tricorder. Oh no.
They also have like some good like bromance conversation.
Fly fishing and
we learned that M'Benga has had 4 marriages, but only 3 ex-wives because one is an annulment, and according to him, that doesn't count as an ex-wife. But yeah, like these little like character details that I think some people in the modern Trek era, you know, like some people. And I get it, like, voice the criticism that, like, we don't learn as much about these characters as we used to in the Berman era when there would be 26 episodes a season, so they had to write a lot more of these types of conversations, you know, so... But I was thinking, this is the 23rd episode of Strange New Worlds, right? So, which, by the way, marks we're halfway done with the show now, because there's going to be 46 episodes total. But if it was the Berman years, we wouldn't even be through season 1 of a show yet. You know, they'd be like, oh, we still have 3 more episodes after this for just a single season. So that's interesting to keep in mind. But, and also, like, I like that Pike just wanted to gossip a little bit. He's like, what do you think about this Corby Christine thing?
I like that addition, yeah.
They find the
talk of the town.
They find the research center. They also find a Klingon skeleton who has like some really odd characteristics. It looked like his rib cage was ripped open. No signs of phaser fire. So M'Benga is like, oh, maybe killed by an animal, but they've also just established there's no animals around. So.
No tigers, bears, no.
But you can see, like, inside of, like, the Klingon skull, you can see, like, that moss, like, coming out the mouth and the eye holes, so it's like, oh, that's what killed this poor bastard, was that stuff growing in him. But yeah, and then...
the ribs being ripped open, you know, I don't know.
I mean, that too, so, But yeah, the moss thing, we should talk about the... Joel, I don't know if you've seen it, but... the show on HBO, The Last of Y'all, right?
I think so. That's probably what it's called, yeah. But I know about it. I haven't actually watched it or played the game, but this is funny because this was written before it came out too. So, because that was just this year or last year, right? Last of Us, first season. Season 2 is coming or something.
Season
2 just aired.
Yeah, season 1 was like 2 years before that, but
okay. And season 2 just aired. I did watch some recap videos, but
in The Last of Us, it's not moss, it's mushrooms. It's like a fungus. Yeah. So I like that it's similar, but not the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because that game came out quite a long time ago, so that idea was out there for quite a while, but they don't seem to act like the clickers exactly. They're more generic. I mean, they're very zombie-like too, but
yeah, these are your standard fast-moving zombies.
Yeah,
these are like your 28 Days Later Dawn of the Dead remake zombies
with some Return of the Living Dead and Thriller in there, I think.
So when Pike and M'Benga enter the research center, and they find the Chimera Blossom flower pretty easily, and it seems like it's going to be a quick, easy away mission for as dangerous as it was to go to this forbidden planet, planet forbidden, as some might say. But they talk more about Batel. Well, you know, M'Benga has to like cut off the flower with the. It's kind of low tech how they do it, but I like the way it
Those
looks.
masks seem so amateur for Starfleet.
Yeah, it's like
It's
the
just like cloth bandanas. You're like, you better put this on or you could die. And it's a cloth bandana.
But the reason why I'm okay with it is it's like more of that material from the Naked
suits.
Time suits. Yeah. Those orange shower
Yeah.
curtain with the gold circles material suits. So I was like, okay, if I see that stuff, I'm happy, even if it does look kind of lame. Just tie that around your face. But like, I don't know if we have another COVID pandemic and everyone's masking up again. I'm gonna get one of these that looks like the shower curtain material.
That's the way to go.
But Pike is asking, you know, about, but he wants to know about Batel's chances. You know, this is weighing heavily on him, and he's like, you know, like I'm just like asking, like as a friend, not as like the captain of the ship, but as your friend. Like, tell me, like, what are her chances? And M'Benga
avoids it. Yeah.
Yeah, he says that they were out of options until Spock figured out to use this flower. But yeah, it sounds like they're honestly like really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, yeah, like there's not much we can do to stop her from dying. Maybe like this weird ass plant that will make her into a human Gorn hybrid might work. It'll be a fighting chance, as M'Benga says, but he doesn't want to give all the details to Pike yet either. So
yeah, when Illyrian blood stops being able to keep it away, yeah, you're running out of options.
But Pike is I like seeing the flaws of Pike in this episode of him being, you know, he kind of too controlling with Batel's medical decisions out of sheer concern, and just like people knowing like, okay, he's not gonna like that the only option we have is still kind of a bad option, so they just all kind of agreed to like, let's just compartmentalize this from him. And then I like his the reason why like I can kind of forgive him for this, because it is kind of a dickish move to be like like at the end of the day it's like, shut up, Pike. It's like it's up to Batel however she wants to go about this, you know, like leave her alone. But like at the end of the episode we also learned that, like, you know, more importantly he wanted to be supportive of her during all of this scary decision-making process stuff. So but I like showing, you know, like oh yeah, this guy's not perfect, like, you know, like he tries really hard, but yeah, sometimes he can still make mistakes. And like here I think his mistakes are coming from like a noble place. It's like no, like it's important to me to make sure she is safe and healthy and alive, and I need better options to like guarantee that, and having a hard time accepting reality with some of that stuff. But I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
There has to be a better way. Don't accept that stuff. It's his general thing. And everyone knows that's the way he's going to be. He's going to be Boy Scout through and through. And yeah, he is. No surprises.
Well, he was certainly surprised when he finds what appeared to be like a severed leg, a human leg.
Yeah, this one's human. Yeah.
So this is when things start taking a darker turn. So let's talk about the arrival of the Klingons and eventual capture of this 2-person landing party. But right after Pike finds the severed leg, the Enterprise detects the Klingons. Because Ortega's knew how to look for them, thinking that they might be trying to hide. But the shot of like the D7 passing over the warning beacon and then launching the little Klingon raider shuttlecraft type vehicle, it made me think of the opening of Predator that shows the Predator being dropped off on Earth to go play in the jungle and hunt Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's kind of similar to that.
Well, we all know there was no life sign, so we couldn't do that. But so they had to settle for this. No Arnold. Sad.
Yeah, I always thought like Arnold Schwarzenegger would make a good Klingon.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how you explain the Austrian accent, but
He's from the north.
Yeah. He just speaks a weird dialect of Klingon language.
Yep.
but the D7 launches a raider that then proceeds to destroy Pike and M'Benga's shuttle.
Yeah. Which that was the trailer shot, so we knew about that one.
Yeah.
But it's pretty fun.
It's just funny, and yeah, they showed this in the trailer of the maybe they don't know we're here. Then boom, shuttle explosion.
Yeah,
They know
great.
we're here. But yeah, we meet Bytha, right? Is how you say
Yep.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Without
heard
an
someone
apostrophe. I was very confused by the no apostrophe at first, but the subtitles have it. So
I heard someone earlier today say Beetha, and I'm like, I wish I hadn't heard that because that's going to throw me off on how to pronounce
it's
this
by
name.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched it twice today. So it's definitely by them.
Yeah.
But yeah, their entrance is rather glorious. Those
Yeah, I like
Bytha
these
and-
Klingons. I heard some people like complain about their. I guess like people don't like their armor, or people were saying that they're like I don't like
Too
the.
small.
This is the same armor that they had in like season 2 of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah,
So
we saw it before.
yeah, it's very like it's like disco. It's like the disco Klingon armor, but painted black and gold, like the Klingon uniforms of TOS. And then they have like beautiful, Berman era Klingon forehead ridges. I love the Strange New Worlds Klingons.
Yeah, they look great. And these, the two henchmen have these amazing Klingon assault disruptor rifles or something.
But those are like the Discovery disruptor rifles, right?
I was looking at pictures and they had them in Discovery, but these are, I think, the bayonet things that look more like multiple batleth points or something.
Mm-hmm.
They look different than the other ones. Maybe the main part is the same. I was looking through Memory Alpha and I couldn't find any really good pictures of those disruptor rifles. I know there's some in like the movies, but they look like shotguns and they don't count.
But yeah, they make like a pretty cool entrance, and then we have a phaser fight / pursuit of M'Benga and Pike, and it cuts back and forth between like the stuff going on the planet and the stuff going on back on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
So we'll circle back to the Enterprise stuff in a moment, but just focusing on the events on Kenfori. There's a line from M'Benga. This is important. I'll point out why later. But M'Benga says if they're captured by the Klingons, the Klingons will want to make examples out of them. He says something like they'll want to make examples out of us if we're captured. So,
Which can't be good.
but remember that because I'll bring it up again later. But yeah, we get like a little bit of phaser shooty shoot, and then M'Benga eventually captured by the Klingons. And then there's like that shot of like M'Benga looking off into like there's like some like grass or something that's like grown
Made a
inside
noise.
this.
That's the crop, because this was like a crop research.
Oh, so this is
station.
like the grain. This is like the grain they were trying to.
Okay.
They were trying to develop a super grain. We
Yeah.
we eventually learn with
triple food.
yeah. But it's interesting that this is around the same time they are doing like the quadro triticale for the tribbles, and also a couple decades after this, Carol Marcus and David Marcus, they're developing the Genesis planet. So it's like they don't quite have like replicator technology. They're still using synthesizers, which for some reason aren't as good as replicators. So they're like feeding the galaxy seems to be like a high priority in the 23rd century.
Yeah, I was thinking this would be called Quattro Zombo Triticale, but maybe that's not a good name. But
Yeah, I wanted to
or
talk a
maybe
little
Mosso.
bit.
I'm not sure if it's Mosso, but anyway, Taylor.
I wanted to talk about the inside of the research station a little bit because I thought it looked really cool the way that they had it run down like after the war. We kind of have like that post-apocalyptic. But I wanted to talk about the grain because I think it looks so cool, like in some of the shots where it's just kind of like in the background and stuff. But I like in the first shot that we see of the zombie that he's like laying low in this like grain that has been just growing on its own since it's been abandoned, but it's so eerie. But I like that it ties back in with like the research that they're doing and stuff. So, but I really liked all of the sets in this research center. Like I thought it was really cool, like had like kind of like retro tech a little bit. Some of the screens that are in here are kind of, I don't know, they look unique.
Yeah.
And I liked a lot of the color that was coming up in this station.
Yeah, it looks different from the Enterprise enough that you can see the facility is a little old or something. It works.
Yeah.
I wish that I could have been able to just like watch this episode without like knowing any of the trailers, without knowing like any of the context for this, because it would have been so cool to have like no idea this is going to turn into like a zombie episode until like this part of the episode when M'Benga's captured by the Klingons, and then all of a sudden like, holy shit, there's zombies now. There's some, well, I don't even want to say like the names of some of these movies that like all of a sudden like turn into like a monster movie or something like halfway through, because I don't want to like spoil the reveal for anyone who hasn't seen any, but there's a couple out there, and so this makes it hard to talk about. But yeah, so
yeah, most zombie movies aren't like that, going in. But.
Yeah. But I just mentioned Predator, talking about like that first shot in Predator where you see the spaceship drop off the alien Predator, and if not for that scene, you can watch that entire movie until about deep into it before you realize like, wait a minute, there's a creature from another planet running around here. I thought this was like some dumb action like Commando type movie, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando. But yeah, so they lose one of the three Klingons pretty quickly here.
Yeah. They don't last long, some of them.
I like that Klingon got like swarmed, and he's just like kind of like writhing, and M'Benga is just staring at him like, what the fuck? And it's Pike who has to like get him to run.
To snap out of it, yeah.
Yeah, like M'Benga's like frozen, and I feel like we've never seen him freeze like that.
No, Klingons he knows, but yeah, these guys, he's totally thrown. Because they're not there according to tricorder, so he's...
Right. It's really, I liked that though. I like seeing him vulnerable.
Confuse the scientist with
Yeah.
with sensors, yeah. So very good.
Let's talk about some more zombie action. M'Benga and Pike get away for a moment, and they're able to do some exploration of the lab, and they see on the computer records, I guess, the super crop experiments, like Taylor was just mentioning, the grain, I guess they were trying to grow, or no, they were trying to make like a moss, right? Because like
they were trying to hybridize a moss with some grain. Okay,
that's what it was, yeah, and
make it better, and
Normally, it would not have resulted in zombies. However, the Klingons attacked the research station during the war and had no regards for safety protocols, and because it wasn't being taken care of, the moss got out and I guess mutated, and now it is devouring people from the inside out. But this is when Pike starts saying like, so they're basically zombies. I love this conversation with M'Benga being like, that is so disrespectful. These are like our dead colleagues. These were once fellow Starfleet officers. Don't call them zombies. It would be hard to not be either of these two people's perspective. It's like, okay, these are clearly zombies, but also like, that is, I can
clearly
see
we're people with life. Yeah.
That's kind of rude to say that. So I thought I've never seen that before, and there might have been something that mentioned that in a zombie movie or something similar.
Usually about individuals. It's like, oh, that was X, and because they've come back, but not like everyone.
It would be weird in if like there was like a zombie outbreak in real life, because it's like, we were so used to like that term zombie in fiction that it would be hard not to apply that if it ever became applicable. Hopefully not though. But yeah. And this is also when Pike figures out like, wait a minute, this chimera blossom, it's about like creating like hybrids between two different sets of DNA. Why would Battelle need this? I thought you were saying this is going to like remove the invasive tissue. Like, what are you trying to hibernize her with? And so the truth comes out to Pike that they're basically trying to turn her into a Gorn human hybrid. The Gorn DNA, the Gorn DNA will permanently become part of her body. And Pike does kind of understand here. He's like, okay, this is why she didn't want me to know about this. Like, he understands,
it all falls into place.
Yeah.
It's great. It's exposition on the run. That's sort of, interesting way to do it.
Yeah, and he's very pissed off that there's not a better option, but then he also has to realize, like, okay, this is why they didn't tell me.
It's Spock and M'Benga, so yeah.
I mean, they don't have to think about it very long because there's another zombie swarm as they're having this conversation, but
that's what I assume was supposed to be the big jump scare, and it might have worked, but it was in the trailer, so.
Oh yeah, it was in the trailer, yeah.
And they do the thing, what they always do, they show the window fine, but then they frame it nicely, so that, Pike is right here, and the window's off to the side. It's obviously framed and empty, so something's going to appear there, and yeah.
Like it's taking up a bulk of the screen, so something.
Yes, that's why eventually, if you watch a lot of horror movies, you stop being affected at all because you can see the framing before. Just like a character sits down on a couch and you can see the wall like up 8 feet above them. Obviously, something's coming through the wall behind them. There's no reason to actually show that much, wall above a character, and or they open the mirror in the bathroom and then they're going to shut it, and something's going to be in it. Just reuse these shots. Every once in a while, a movie will do something where it won't be framed and will actually be, somewhat shocking. But
this episode moves pretty quick. It
moves quick,
fast paced. Like they'll stop and have a conversation for a second, but then there's going to be like another zombie swarm. Like that's something that I think a lot of the that subgenre really does well, is that like the zombies aren't always an immediate threat, but they're not going to be far behind. It's like a constant like they're always going to be coming for you. You can never get away. You can only get you can become temporarily safer, but then eventually they'll catch up. And force you to set your phaser on overload and blow it up. So
then you're down a phaser. Yeah,
I think M'Benga lost his phaser when he was captured. Like the Klingon knocks it out of his hands. I think before the zombies reveal themselves, and then Pike loses his phaser here. Or one of them, I think Pike maybe tells M'Benga to set it to overload, but they're phaserless after this. That's the important thing.
Kind of seems like a bad idea to be like, hey, let's use our phaser as a bomb. We only have one left.
There was a lot that came through, so I mean, that was the idea. I think
you got to set it on like the widespread mode, like they would do in TOS, and just like knock down a bunch of zombies at a time.
If only.
But I guess they also don't know like how many zombies there are. Like if Pike's assuming there's only like 10 or 20 of them, it's like oh no, there's like a lot more to come after that. I liked them having to resort to just like hiding in a cabinet though. And then the two Klingons, there's only two Klingons at this point, and they just come in there and they just like clean house. So
yeah,
it's great just seeing the light coming through the little part they can see through, and it's just turning red over and over again on their faces. That was a great shot. And
I like, this is another thing that I hear people complain about, but I've really come to like and accept Pike as kind of the kinder, gentler Starfleet captain. But I think some people think that he comes off as like too soft or too indecisive. But I like him. I don't know. I just like how he tries so hard to be a nice guy. I think that's why he's not always the best commander in tense military situations, as we've seen in Equality of Mercy and Hegemony. But even here, like the Klingons, he wants to lead with like niceness and friendship. When he comes out of the cabinet, he's like, "Oh, thanks for saving us. We can all just get along and escape the zombies together."
You guys aren't trying to eat us, yeah.
Yeah, or yeah, he says that like, well, at least you're not trying to eat us. But then I love how quickly we go from 3 Klingons to 2 Klingons, and then from 2 Klingons to 1 Klingon. Because it's at this moment when there's yet another zombie swarm. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you can never stay permanently safe from these things. There's gonna be another wave, any minute. So, but when her other man gets bit,
Henchman A or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And she, with like no hesitation, immediately disintegrates him with the disruptor. And then it cuts to like Pike and M'Benga, and they're just kind of like, holy shit. And she's like, okay, you're my prisoners this way. And they're just like, I mean, like you can look at the expression on Anson Mount's face, and you can tell he's thinking like, well, holy shit, I better not get bit in front of this lady, or I'm dead meat,
Not gonna last long.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I like Vaitha. I was like, oh yeah, she has a lot of presence. She has a lot of personality, and she quickly becomes the only Klingon in the episode. So, but she takes Pike and M'Benga to the rooftop where she summons the. I guess at one point, like she parked that Klingon raider in the jungle when they were tracking M'Benga and Pike on foot. I guess what probably happened is they saw the shuttle. They could like detect the shuttle from their radar, so they immediately destroyed it, landed nearby, and then maybe found like the footprints or something and tracked M'Benga and Pike into the research center. But she summons it up top to. So I guess she's actually thinking she's gonna survive this mission. She's gonna kill her target and then return home.
Somewhere else. Yeah. Not right here, but
Pike and M'Benga still don't know her motivations. There's again yet another zombie wave on the rooftop. They're able to set up the force field projectors to buy them a little bit of time, and that was kind of a tense moment when M'Benga is trying to like hold the doors closed while Pike is repairing the force field, and then run over there and get inside of the force field before it comes up. But yeah, they're trapped in there with Vaitha, who reveals herself to be the daughter of Dakra, champion of House Raul, and here to kill M'Benga for killing her father before she could and reclaim her honor.
Yeah, it's a really great reveal of her identity, I guess, and her motives. And then the quick takeout Pike with the stab to the leg was pretty...
Even here, he can't help himself but be a nice guy when he's like,
she's just like, I'm taking you out of this equation. Not going to kill you, but...
Yeah, he's just like, we need weapons and we can help you out. And she just like walks over to him with the knife, with the duck tug, and he's like, oh cool, she's going to hand me a knife. And no, she just stabs him in the leg. And he's like, oh, I walked right into that one.
Sorry, Pike, you did. Yeah.
And there's some really cool dialogue between
Vaitha
and M'Benga. She says, "Do you not see a reflection? The gaze of an old enemy?" And I love M'Benga's response to that. He's so cold when he says, "I have killed too many Klingons to know which house you are from."
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, it's so good.
I want to switch back to what's going on the Enterprise and talk about those events, the mind meld thing in sickbay, and then Una commanding the ship. But before we get to that, we'll circle back to these rooftop events and the big fight there. But anything else y'all want to say about the reveal of Dakra's daughter?
Well, it was unexpected that this was leading back to that.
Yeah.
And so that was cool.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, so I thought that was a nice reveal. Well, let's talk about the Enterprise for a moment, and then we'll circle back to the rooftop events. But in sickbay, Batel is in incredible pain, it sounds like. Nothing they're giving her seems to help, and so Spock has the idea. It's a very Spock thing to do. He's a bit of a mind-melding whore, but he says, "Oh, I can help this with mind melding. I can teach you some Vulcan meditation techniques to help you with the pain." When I was watching it, though, it did seem a little weird to me when Spock often says, like, he doesn't know if he can mind meld with a human in Dagger of the Mind. He's like, I don't even know if this will work when he mind melds with Van Gilder. Although I guess at this point he did mind meld with a human in Discovery with the Red Angel, with Michael Burnham's mom. But that was that really like messed up his brain for half a season of Discovery. So maybe that's why he's reluctant to mind meld with a human. Because here he is trying to mind meld with a human. It doesn't quite work. So this is also a bad experience. I know he did mind meld with La'an in season 1, but I feel like that doesn't quite count because she's an augment. So
yeah, he's very specific in his definitions. It fits.
But in this mind meld, we get like these weird glimpses of what looks like to me is like a Gorn embryo screaming, this little Gorn screamy face. But yeah, it's definitely presented as a painful experience.
Instead
of having like these Gorn screamy embryo things, I kind of wish that it was more of like ambiguous, like scales or something, because they talk about her having like the cells, but not really like that she has like Gorn babies anymore. You know, like
no, I don't
they
think
were
there's
reabsorbed
babies anymore. Yeah.
So do you think that this is just like a mental Gorn, like this Gorn is like in her brain? Or is it, because I was thinking it was more like a physical thing inside of her, but maybe it is more like connected with her memory or her brain.
But they say tissue, so there's like physical like Gorn matter in her body.
Which is why I was thinking it would be kind of neat to be more of like textures, like different cell textures, like reptilian, I don't know, instead of like a screaming live thing, I don't know. It just seems a little bit too similar to what happened in episode 1, I guess, with like the Gorn egg things on her back. So
and see, even like the Gorn eggs, it's like, because the way that works is if it sprays, if it like spits the if a Gorn spits its juice on you,
gross.
Gorn goo, yeah.
Then it soaks into your skin and makes eggs grow inside of your body that then explode out your back.
Part of you into the eggs, yeah.
So, but yeah, is like the Gorn intelligence? Is it like in her DNA now, like trying to manifest itself physically somehow? Because then like Spock seems like Gorn possessed. You know, you start seeing the nurses with Gorn vision. Yeah, we have Nurse Gamble back in Nurse Chapel. Gamble gets punched across sickbay.
By a Vulcan, yeah, ouch.
Yeah. Speaking of, we talk about like how Pike tries to be such a nice guy. This nurse is like he's like clearly written to be like this. We're gonna make him like as likable and as nice as possible, and then have Spock beat him up in the second appearance.
Him a cinnamon roll character, which we kind of talked about the other day, but it's just like a sweet, likable character, right? And he's just getting tossed around. Poor cinnamon roll.
Yeah. But yeah, I took it as the Gorn babies are gone, but they stopped being like actual embryos. But then the Illyrian blood helped absorb all that stuff back into her body. It tells, and so I think so. She still has these cells, and they're kind of like a parasite, as they were using the bodies of their hosts to get, energy and matter to create the babies. So it's not doing that anymore, but it's still doing something.
Like it's trying to merge with her.
Yeah, it's trying to do something, and maybe it's
that's why they need the
hybrid.
To
stabilize it, because otherwise they're worried it will continue. Maybe they won't become a Gorn or anything, but she'll die, and she's in extreme pain.
I like what Jill in the live audience is saying. Two souls, both in pain. Shades of Sarek in a search for Spock. But yeah, that is what Sarek said about Dr. McCoy when he was carrying Spock's Katra. So yeah, it's kind of like a Gorn Katra
that's a good thing.
is inside of her. And then I loved Chapel having to smack the shit out of Spock to snap him out of it. Because
you got to do that to Vulcans sometimes. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, she must forget this because she doesn't seem to remember in A Private Little War when M'Benga's in that episode, one of the two TOS M'Benga appearances. When M'Benga's like, sometimes you gotta slap these Vulcan boys, Christine. But yeah, I think she probably like a part of her like really wanted to like slap this dude after the last couple of episodes.
I was like, that slap was personal. She's like, I've been waiting for an excuse.
That made Spock feel awkward after that. He's like, oh, she probably enjoyed that.
She's got to take it where she can, There's enjoyment.
But yeah, and seeing like this literal monster inside of Batel, it does, and the pain that it causes her, it does, I guess, kind of reflect the feelings that M'Benga is going through with this, what he calls the monster inside of him. The dialogue literally like spells that out. It's kind of spoon-feedy. But we see Ortega's, struggling with her internal demons as well. So, which was also Gorn inflicted. So I guess three internal monsters. Maybe even Baitha might even have like some of that. She's dealing with some similar issues. But also in the Enterprise, we get the meeting in the conference room with Scotty. No Palia in this episode, which is great. Anytime they don't have Carol Kane for an episode, they can just be like, "Oh, Palia didn't want to
go to the meeting."
Yeah, Palia doesn't want to like leave her room this episode, so you have Scotty instead.
Well, she's always complaining about it being boring. Like, like the worst part about living so long is that it's so boring. Yeah. So I can see why she would want to skip out on these meetings,
Lanthanites don't like meetings. Yeah, that makes
she's
sense.
like, like I'd rather be researching or doing something where I make discoveries.
Yeah, she's like, I'm 7,000 years old. I'm not doing any more meetings.
Polishing the warp core. It's soothing, that noise. Yeah.
But the important thing that comes out here is they're like, okay, the captain and M'Benga are not checking in every hour like they're supposed to. So to get them back, we can beam them up if we get closer to the planet. We can't let this Klingon ship see us approach.
Yeah.
So Ortega's has the crazy idea like, oh, I can warp to the planet's atmosphere, beam them up, and then warp out. And then Spock says, or we can just drive really slow. We can just take a 4-hour trip from the dust belt to the planet and then beam them up.
And they won't be able to detect us, and so.
And this is also where like Scotty messes up because he's like, I actually could pull off that that warp transport like that. Just occurs to me that's a common thing, not a common thing, but that's a doable thing in TNG. And the Schizoid Man, they have to do that quick drop out a warp to beam some people down to.
Don't they have to like alter it because they have to start somewhere, but they're moving so fast? Yeah, I always like that.
Yeah. When Data
start in a wall, and
Data was explaining like, oh yeah, for a split second you were in that wall. But yeah, the Ira Graves episode. But yeah, so Ortega's is mad that she's not getting to do the dangerous but impressive flying maneuver to warp to the planet. I'm not really sure why she's so pissy about this though. Is it just like
just the PTSD, I assume.
Yeah, she doesn't.
It doesn't really make sense.
She wants to be done with this Klingon mission. Like she wants to do this and get out of here.
Right.
She's afraid they're gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah, she's mad about the Klingon stuff because that's sensitive for her, and she's feeling like that's not fast enough to go and get them. She feels like they're in more danger than Una thinks that they are, and that 4 hours is not sufficient. She says something specifically like, with all due respect, that's not good enough.
Okay, but she also wants to get to the M'Benga and the captain too. Like she's like she doesn't want to leave them stranded for so long. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
she's
4
scared.
hours
She's like,
alone with the Klingons.
yes, exactly. That they're not going to survive because she's like, do you know what could happen in 4 hours? You know, like we could lose them basically. But I think honestly, like, yeah, we know she's probably really upset because of the PTSD, but she's feeling a little bit like she's given an idea and no one's really siding with her. Like no one is like trying to validate her little
experience.
warp experience. Yeah. They're like, let's go safer and like everyone. So she feels ganged up on by her friends.
Yeah,
and
she feels the situation landed in her experiential wheelhouse, and no one's paying attention.
Yeah, and I don't think she was in the right, obviously, but you know that's where what she's seeing. I think. So.
They don't talk about this in the episode, but most of the Enterprise crew did not serve in the war.
Yes.
So we know like M'Benga and Chapel did, and Ortega's did, but you know a lot of them didn't. Like
Pike, Una, and the Enterprise did not.
Yeah, and Uhura would have still been at the Academy back then, because she gets mad at Uhura for not backing her up. I think Una asked Uhura, are there like any chatter out there? Are there any signs that like the the Klingons are on the planet or like talking to anyone on the planet, or are they just like floating there in space? And Uhura's like, yeah, it's totally quiet. I haven't heard any transmissions or anything. So there was like no reason to suspect that that Pike and M'Benga were under immediate like Klingon threat. So they're like, okay, we're not going to do the crazy Ortega's plan. We're going to do the slow ass Spock plan, and then that kind of pissed her off at Uhura too. She's like, thanks a lot, Yoda, or whatever she said.
Yeah, but she's like literally just doing her job. Like Ortega's is just he's just sensitive right now.
Yeah, no, Ortega's is out of line, but we can understand why, I guess.
Feel bad for Uhura in that moment.
Yeah, that's like a shitty thing for your friend to tell you. Like, thanks a lot for doing your job correctly. You know, it's crazy to me that they pass within 100 kilometers of the or with 100.
I think they said meters at that point.
Meters, yeah, they're within a
crazy close. You think they would have tried a little bit? Not quite there.
But the D7 though, it looked so cool floating there in the those icy asteroids.
Something else I really liked about the transition here, like if we were doing this in the episode order, it cuts to Pike and M'Benga on the science station, and Pike says like, "Oh, well, we don't have comms, so well, we know the Enterprise is following protocol, so we know they're gonna try to beam us out or something, but we need to get to the roof to get to like the communications array or whatever at the research center." And I loved that detail of Pike just trusting the Enterprise, like Una, like it was so nonchalant the way he just threw it out there. But it's cool to be able to see like everyone on the Enterprise like working the problem, and then we cut to Pike and be like, "Don't worry, they'll be here." Like they're following protocol. Like this, I love that continuity.
Yeah, he has a lot of faith and trust in his crew and his ship. And then it's funny when Spock is like, "Oh, actually, we need to slow down even more." They're like, I think at this point they're going 1/7. Like originally the plan was to go 1/6 impulse, which is already super slow. Like sometimes they'll dial it down to a quarter impulse, but like 1/6 impulse. I think this is the first time we've ever heard that. Yeah. And then Spock is saying like, "Oh, we need to go from like 1/7 to 1/8. This is about to become a 6-hour trip."
Because they're so close. That's what I took it as.
Yeah. And with like Star Trek distances, it's like, okay, this could be a 6-second trip instead of 6 hours. So yeah, Ortega's is really she's a speed demon. She wants to go fast, you know. She's the pilot, so she likes to fly.
Her comments when she accidentally like hits one of the asteroids or whatever it is. She's like, "Well, it's hard to maneuver at snail speed." Like, I love that line. It was so cute. And, like, her frustration, but she's still saying something kind of, like, so Ortega's, you know? Whimsical.
And then when Una gives her the order to slow down, she does, but then she dials it back up on purpose. Which this is like the shitty thing, is, like, she exposes them to the Klingons on purpose. So that to force the ship into doing her dangerous, insane, let's just warp to the planet's atmosphere and beam them up plan.
Yeah.
So naughty Ortegas. It's interesting though, because then the episode cuts away from them, and we don't see what happens immediately next. Because whenever it cuts back to the Enterprise, they're just warping to the planet. So I think what they must have done is they turned around and like left the dust belt, like got like some distance, and then like warped back to the planet real fast.
Because when they warp too long. It should be like a split second.
Yeah, it should be like basically instantaneous.
Warp 1 is the speed of light, and the moon is like 20 light seconds away on Earth. So that seems like the max it should be. But Trek is always, travel takes a dramatic amount of times. So
I want to talk about the knife fight on the rooftop and Bytha's last stand. But before we do, y'all have any other thoughts on the Enterprise on ship drama?
I think we covered all. Yeah, there's some nice tense submarine stuff as they silently slide by each other, knowing it was great to have that back. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joel. Strange New Worlds does a good job with that. So let's talk about the rest of the stuff on the rooftop with the zombies. So Bytha explains that this was her one chance to regain her honor, and M'Benga is so angry and disgusted with the Klingon stuff because now Bytha is basically like challenging M'Benga to ritual combat, and he's like he's like he does seem like a weary soldier from a war. He's like, there's already been like so much death and so much killing. Like, why do you want to do this? Like, what the hell is wrong with you Klingons? Like, why do we have to have even more bloodshed? Why can't this just be like left alone, And she puts that knife to Pike's throat because Pike said oh, M'Benga killed your father out of self-defense, and she's like, oh, is this true? Is this true? And then M'Benga is like, the truth comes out. He's like, no, that guy pissed me off enough. I guess.
Yeah.
He says it. I assassinated him. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he says he assassinated him. But if you watch that episode, if you go watch like Under the Cloak of War, I feel sorry for M'Benga to be put in the situation where he's like begging Ambassador Ra to like leave him alone.
Yeah.
When Ra realizes, like, oh no, like this whole bullshit story I've been telling people that, like, I killed my own Klingon men and defected to the Federation, when in actuality, M'Benga killed his Klingon men.
Yep.
And Docra fled like a coward. And like, when Docra is saying, like, like, come on, Dr. M'Benga, just, like, go along with me on the sly. And M'Benga's like, leave me alone. And finally he's like, hey, fool, I said leave me alone. Now you're getting your ass stabbed to death.
Yeah.
With the knife he killed those generals with, yeah.
But it's something that, and then, in the way that Under the Cloak of War presented it, where it's like, well, you didn't, maybe Ra, I still think, like, he probably, like, put his hands on M'Benga, and that was just, like, a bridge too far. Like, he probably, like, put, like, his hand on his shoulder or something, like, when they were having, like, that heated conversation. Then something like that to, like, push him over the edge. I'm not trying to, like, make excuses for it, but, like, it's understandable, the situation M'Benga is in. It makes me think of, I was recently listening to the political scientist Norm Finkelstein was talking about his parents who were Holocaust survivors and spent time at one of the concentration camps and survived that, moved to the United States, raised their son. But one of the things that he talked about, like, growing up, was that his parents had this hatred towards German people. Like, it was something that, like, it just stuck with them for years and years after the Holocaust, and that, like, he thinks, like, in order for them to be able to, like, get over that and, forgive the people that killed their families and put them in a concentration camp and did some of the worst imaginable crimes in history, the words that he used, I'll never forget this. And he said, like, in order for them to forgive that, it would require what he said, a superhuman act. Or like, in other words, like, he didn't think it was like, a reasonable expectation to believe like a human psyche that had endured that level of trauma to ever be able to just kind of accept it and process it, rationally. And I don't want to say that like, people that like go through these traumatic experiences, they're like permanently broken. They're like damaged goods for life or anything. Like, I don't want to come off saying that, but I think like, like there are, sometimes like there are those scars that are too heavy for people to bear. And that was a big part of that episode, Under the Cloak of War. That's how that episode ends, with M'Benga's log entry where he's, repairing the bio bed that keeps breaking down. And he says, some broken things can never be fully repaired. They can only be managed. And he kind of talks about it like he has like a permanent illness now that he carries after that. And so I think that's a kind of a similar, headspace that M'Benga was in, like in that episode. Like at that point, whenever he killed Ra, it would have taken like a superhuman act for him not to do that. Yeah. And he, and even now that he's had time to, live with it, he still doesn't fully regret it. He's like no, like that guy was a war criminal. He killed like women and children and and never had to face justice for that. So
yeah, that's the word he uses. It was justice.
Yeah. So now we get like the knife fight where Joel, okay, when we watched this together, you pointed out to me it was very Thriller-esque when we had like the zombies, and then when it turns into like the knife fight here, I was like, oh, we went from Thriller to Beat It.
Yes, there's two giant Michael Jackson things there, because the Klingon who screams up to the air, he looks very Thriller-like. His jacket kind of looks, it's the color, it's not really the same jacket, but the Thriller outfits were all cut up, and they'd done a lot on those too. So yeah, that was very Thriller. And then the knife fight was extremely Beat It. I went and watched that music video again today because I was like, I didn't remember how exactly it went. Been a long time. But yeah, I guess they tied their arms directly together instead of having a string in between, but same thing. So and I've seen that too in a lot of movies with like 50s gangs or something. There's a knife fight where they tie their, they do that sort of thing.
We've never seen that with Klingons before, but I kind of liked it.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's a dangerous situation to be. You're tied up to your opponent. Like they can't get away from you, but you can't get away from them.
Especially if one isn't Klingon. Klingons aren't going to run, but they're like, oh, that's a human. We're gonna make sure he doesn't run.
She said they were tied together with the blood of her father, but I'm like, how did you get your father? I don't know, maybe the Federation returned his dead body to the Klingons.
She had some at
something
at the house.
Yeah.
I don't know. I assume there really was blood on there,
but I like that.
I was assuming it was a metaphor.
Yeah.
I assumed it was like legit. Like she dipped it in something. I don't know.
I think it could go either way. Yeah, now that I'm talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, they probably did return the body.
The Federation wouldn't keep it.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose. I mean, we've seen the Klingons be like on TNG, be like, oh, it's just an empty vessel, dispose of it. But then sometimes they're also like, oh, we person who's rich, maybe not.
But some Klingons also mummify their dead, or like sometimes, as we learn about in the Deep Space Nine episode, The Ship, it's like, oh, you stand by your fallen comrade's body and keep the predators away, and so there's various Klingon death customs,
which makes sense. There should be multiple ones across the planet,
but there's no Klingon murder for M'Benga today. He defeats Baitha in knife combat, but then refuses to kill her. He actually forfeits the match, which, from M'Benga's perspective, it's cool. He's like, yeah, like I don't want to fight this war anymore. I don't want to keep killing you Klingons. But from her perspective, it's like, oh, you're just like adding insult to injury now. You can't do this to me. Yeah. This was my one chance to reclaim my honor.
Yeah.
You keep fucking up all of my chances to reclaim my honor. You killed my traitor dad. Now you won't fight me to the death.
The acting was so good in this. Like her facial expressions were so strong through all those aesthetics. Like her eyes, like are just so emotional.
Yeah, she
and
had
like,
Gowron eyes. Her face didn't quite show them off the same but she had the eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
We've had some great Klingon women over the years, and she's one of the more likable ones, if you compare her to like someone like the Duras sisters. But Brilka in Deep Space Nine was a great character. We had Kalar, of course, in TNG. I know people tend to not like the Discovery Klingons as much, but I think a lot of people would agree that one of the best things to come out of the Disco Klingons would be L'Rell, Mary Chieffo's L'Rell. So... and just like I was saying, like I like the twist of like, okay, this isn't like when, Worf killed Duras. Now he's got to deal with his sisters, or like, in Lower Decks we saw Ma'a getting this like blood feud with a family, and like here it's like, no, I'm okay with my dad being killed. I'm just pissed it was you who did it instead of me. So it was, again, like I was saying, with the moss instead of mushrooms and the zombies, it's the same but different. You got to change it a little bit. But do you have any other thoughts on the knife fight?
Well, the zombies behind the force field are pretty much identical to Dawn of the Dead, because they're all at the mall and they're all standing behind the glass doors,
where they're pressing on the glass doors.
And they can see inside. There's people and they want to go over there because they look tasty, and it's. God, because I watched a clip of some Dawn of the Dead today. I didn't watch the whole movie again, but I've seen it like 12 times. So. But it's like, it's so on point and beautiful. That really works.
Yeah.
And the same thing. It's just eventually they get through and then rush and then things are going bad then. Yeah.
Yeah, the zombies are very like George Romero style zombies. George Romero made those very famous zombie movies like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. But they're fast moving like the modern stuff. So me and Taylor have a disagreement on this. I prefer Romero style zombies that can't run fast, but she likes the fast ones.
Yeah. This also has a lot of Return of the Living Dead too.
I'm not as familiar with that movie.
Those are sort of in between. They're pretty fast. They're more like regular people fast, but they can talk and do stuff, but they don't do that here. But the ones when M'Benga is like slamming the door on those zombies, that part reminded me a lot of Return of the Living Dead. And then there was sort of also some Romero stuff with like Dawn of the Dead and the waiting and the rushing. But they really hit the bases of a lot of big zombie movies.
And having that visual of like the zombies pressed against the glass doors trying to get into the mall in Dawn of the Dead, or here where the zombies are, pressed against the force field and eventually push their way through and break through, it kind of visually reinforces that concept I was talking about earlier. Like that's the thing about like a zombie movie is you're never safe. You're temporarily safer, but eventually they're going to come there for you. So
yeah, they'll never give up, and they'll always be making progress, even if incremental.
Let's talk about our ending. The like I was saying, like on the Enterprise, it cuts away after they're exposed to the Klingons, and when we cut back, Ortega's is flying the thing at warp. So coming into the planet's atmosphere, coming in hot. We get some cool visuals of the Enterprise skirting the atmosphere. We have the cool zero gravity thing that they do on board, and it cuts back and forth between that and Vaitha's last stand when she busts out the whip and the disruptor pistol, and basically is like, okay, I'm gonna buy time for my two enemies, for these two puny humans, Pike and M'Benga, to flee to the Raider and escape. I loved her final words there, though. She says in Klingon, "Choke on me, you filthy targs."
Yes. Yeah, she has a way to Stovacor, an honorable death by stopping the hordes.
Yeah, she goes out like a boss. Like I wasn't expecting a likable Klingon in Strange New Worlds, where they're they're going to be depicted more as enemies because of the 23rd century, but
I wish we had more of that whip. It was really awesome. It was in the trailer.
Yeah.
She whips, she does the trailer shot where she does the up in the air, and then she whips like 3, and then it's like, oh. I mean, I know they probably didn't want to do 5 minutes of her whipping zombies, but it would have been nice looking.
But I liked M'Benga's respect. Like I like that he's in a
yes.
He's at a point where even though he had to kill a lot of Klingons and has like some weird messed up PTSD issues, and maybe that can attribute to why he can't seem to stay married, but he also he's carrying around like all this baggage. Yeah, he respects aspects of them. Like he also gets frustrated. He's like, why do y'all keep doing? Like, why do you want to have like this ritual combat with me? Like, why is that like important to you that we have to keep fighting? But then here he's like, well, I get this part of it. They're like, I get that this is going to be an honorable death. And I'm like, Pike is like, but no one will know.
No one will know.
And I love that moment. That's a beautiful moment to me. It makes me think of the Romulan commander in Balance of Terror about being a creature of duty. It's like no, but like she'll know. Like she can't, like she wouldn't be able to live with herself if she didn't do the honorable thing here. Like it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about her. It's like to her, like she's a true believer. Like Worf. Like so many Klingons are so like full of shit. Like they'll talk about like honor and virtue and all these things, but they're actually like pretty shitty.
They want
people.
victory.
Yeah, we see like a lot of the like high-ranking Klingons in Star Trek. We see like a lot of like the politicians and like like admirals and ship captains and stuff. Like a lot of them, they're kind of like all hat and no cattle. They talk a big game, but they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. But then you meet like a guy like Worf, who for all his flaws, he actually does believe in doing the honorable thing at all times. And then here with Baitha, so. But yeah, a gory end to a cool character. And then we have the 0G transport from Scotty. So that was cool to see Martin Quinn hanging on wires working the transporter console. When everyone's floating up on the bridge, though, Joel, I think you were going to comment on Una's hair being tied down for this.
Yeah, Rachel and some other people in the first reaction stream yesterday pointed out that that's probably why she has that bizarre, I guess they're milk braids, which are really not flattering in the wig they used. But they do make it easier to do her hair in 0G because you don't have to have floating hair, and that's way harder. And another thing you have to deal with, because I'm sure 0G is really expensive, which is why you rarely see it in live action.
Interesting.
And then also someone said another character too had braids that didn't normally. I forget who said.
Yeah.
Uhura's hair is tied back in a way we hadn't seen before. They don't have Mitchell, the woman who's at the op station a lot. Instead of Mitchell,
they
Also, La'an's hair is in a bun instead of in a ponytail. Oh yeah.
Okay, that's who I was.
Rachel just pointed that out in the chat too.
Yeah.
This is when I want to squeeze in the probably overmade joke already that Una looks like Doris from Shrek.
She really does.
That character is so seared in my brain as like a Shrek character is so iconic that like it honestly took Una out of this for me. Like that look is so Doris that when I look at Una, I see Doris instead of Una.
Because they did something with her makeup too. It's different.
It's way more
hair.
dramatic, and she's got a lot more like eyeliner and eyeshadow going on. And I mean, I don't think it's I don't like it because for me, like it's too similar to another character in another show that they should have branched differently. Like I think. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they've never seen Shrek, and that would be a crime. But
I mean, I haven't seen Shrek since I saw it in the theater one time, and then I saw Shrek 2 in the theater one time, and I had forgotten that was a character. When you showed me the picture, I remembered.
That's crazy to me because I've watched Shrek like millions of times, probably because it's such an amazing movie, the first and second one. But yeah, that's like. Iconic character for me. So for me though, that like definitely pulled Una out of it a lot. Like I was having a hard time remembering that was number 1. Does that make sense? Like just with that look, which is crazy.
But you're not alone. Like everyone who talks about this episode has commented on that. It's funny because like to me, like I noticed it, but I didn't like think anything about it. But you know, I can go on and on for hours talking about the design of a ship or about like an admiral's uniform or, you know, something like that. So I get it. But yeah, to me, like the hairdo is like not an issue at all. But everyone else definitely seems to dislike it. I have not heard a single person say that they. Well, okay, now that I said that, someone's going to comment somewhere and say that they like it. But I don't believe you, dipshit, who's commenting to say that. Like, I think you're only saying that to prove me wrong. So,
and from some shots, it looks like a weird hat. When you can't see the actual braids, you just see the outline. It looks like he's wearing a strange hat, and you're like,
a D7
is he
hat.
A miner?
Oh yeah, she looks like the front part of the D7 ship. Yeah, it's the same
That's
look.
it. The Klingons will fear her in her D7 hat.
Anyways, that was a complaint that I had. But I don't want to beat a dead horse. I know everyone's upset about it.
But no, we should mention it also. Get that on the record. So with the captain and doctor back on board, Ortega's warps away. They escape the Klingon torpedo that's fired at them.
Yeah.
Spock is able to synthesize the treatment they need for Batel with the flower. Pike and M'Benga have a heart-to-heart in sickbay. Well, Pike is getting his leg patched up, and they basically establish here that you know, M'Benga is like, yeah, I did lie about Ambassador Ra. Are you gonna turn me in? And Pike is like, well, you know, second episode of this season that there was no official mission, so there's nothing to report. It's like, how many times are y'all gonna do that?
You just did a legal mission, so I guess I'm not gonna report you either.
Pike's crew gets away with so much. Like,
but I guess you do that when you know your fate. You're like, well, I'm okay. I die horribly later. So.
But yeah, he's
so crazy.
Pike doesn't narc on his crew. He's like, okay, no. Una, you lied about being genetically engineered. I'm not gonna say shit. It's like, okay, M'Benga, you killed that guy in sickbay. It's weird that you lied to me about that, but you know what? Like, I'm not gonna say shit about that either. Now, as far as Una and Ortega's goes, Una's a little bit more like the hard ass. I think that's probably part of like why like Una and Pike, they probably make like a good like command pair, because it's probably like you know, Pike I'm sure will do it. He'll like discipline his crew, but it's probably a lot easier for him to just let Una handle that stuff. So,
and isn't that her job as first officer anyway? I think.
But I liked, yeah, that's typically like the first officer thing to do anyways. So that was like kind of like Riker's job on the Enterprise. But yeah, we have that conversation between Una and Ortega's, which was like, basically, you're going to have to wear the dunce hat and sit in the corner of the classroom for 2 weeks. You're off the.
I will follow the chain of command.
Yeah, you have to be Bart Simpson writing on the chalkboard. You have to do 2 weeks of chain of command training with the warrant officer.
Yeah, Ortega's has stronger consequences for forcing Una's hand, I guess, than M'Benga does for killing, literally murdering an ambassador. So, I mean, granted, I get M'Benga's, you know, and I get Ortega's.
He wasn't ordered not to murder the ambassador.
Yeah, that would be Pike's excuse.
Like, you didn't say immediately. It's the whole thing.
But one thing that they bring up in this conversation is Ortega says, we all know the Klingons don't take prisoners. Which, I mean, Kirk says that in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, right? He tells that to Savick. Yep. Klingons don't take prisoners. But even then, it didn't make sense, because we saw Klingons take prisoners in the original series, in Errand of Mercy, the very first Klingon episode ever. So...
I take that as being at war with people. You just you do the thing where you make them even bigger, monstrous than
Star Trek. Are. Star Trek always does this contradiction. It's like the Klingons don't take prisoners except when they do. Like we saw them take prisoners in season 1 of Disco earlier in this episode. Even remember, I said keep this in mind. I'll bring it up later. M'Benga says if they capture us, they'll make examples out of us. It's like, so do Klingons capture people or do they not capture people?
I feel like in this one, they're not technically captured because she's just trying to get them to a safe location so that she can fight M'Benga. So
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I've captured you, ha ha ha. It's like, no, we have to have our ritual combat, but I can't do that when there's all these zombies all over the place. So I felt like it
Damn
was like
zombies.
it was more of like a relocation capture than like a capture.
Sure, but M'Benga's fear was like, oh, if they capture us, they'll make examples out. He's basically saying like, oh
Well-
yeah, they know what they'll do to.
Yeah.
Like M'Benga's like, I know what Klingons do to their prisoners, basically, and then Ortega's here is like, oh yeah, Klingons don't take prisoners. It's just funny to me because like Star Trek like it doesn't even bother me anymore. I've been used to this for like 20 years. It's like I noticed this a long time ago, but it just kind of cracks me up that I've never seen Star Trek contradict itself on that within the same episode, I don't think. So I thought that was kind of funny. Just wanted to point that out.
We're making progress. Same episode contradictions. All right. I guess you have to. With 10 episode seasons, they can't spread it out. They have to do it in the same episode now.
In the final scene, we have Pike and Batel in Pike's quarters. Pike mad that he didn't know about the plan to become a semi-Gorn hybrid person. And then I like Batel, like, that's like a legit thing to be upset about, is like, hey, fool, like, it doesn't matter what you think about it. It's not your choice at all. This is 100% my thing to figure out, my thing to decide. And like I was saying earlier about like, the Gorn cancer thing, or like how this does parallel, like living with a terminal illness or having a loved one with a terminal illness. It's like, oh yeah, that is part of it, is having to make like these big, scary decisions about like, treatment options and things like that.
She has very little time. Didn't
Yeah.
they say days? So very little.
But I loved Pike saying that, like, I get that, and I understand y'all being worried that I wouldn't handle the bad news well, but what really makes me upset is that I was denied the opportunity to be there supportive of you while you're making this hard decision, and I really wish that I could have been there to help love and support you through this. And so I love Pike, like, kind of understanding that he was in the wrong, but then him offering that, which would have been like the correct function, like that is what a loving, caring, supportive partner should do in the situation. And then as soon as he presents that to her, like, she gets like that opportunity, like now, like, she feels safe to like open up and be vulnerable to him. This is like the first time we see her kind of like break down, start crying about this, and just like admit, she says, "I'm scared, Chris," and then he just like holds her and embraces her and loves her back and says, like, I'm scared too. But at least now,
you missed the one line before that though, where
was what
Patel has the absolutely amazing line of, "I don't have the space to worry about how my dying feelings." Which, oh my God, that's just like, it's true. It was like, that was affecting. The overall scene is amazing. But
yeah, no, like I totally get that. I like the expression like spoons, like if you run out of spoons, if you don't have spoons for something. But yeah, like she didn't have spoons to deal with this insane big life and death issue, and then also have to worry about like her partner's feelings. It would have been
the Boy Scouts' feelings of not solving the problem.
Understandably, like too much for anyone to have on their plate, I think. So but that's where we end things this week. So unless either of y'all have any additional thoughts, anything else?
I think we covered all. Yeah, God, this episode is just, there's so much in it, but I think we covered it all.
Well, let's go into the Gorn egg section of the show. This is where I like to point out the Easter eggs, in-jokes, and continuity connections in the episode.
Hopefully
that we thought would be fun to bring up.
And don't become tissue, but
we'll try to keep them from metastasizing into something more deadly. But starting off, the name of the episode, Shuttle to Kenfori. We were wondering about this for a long time, and then now that we see, this was the zombie episode, it's like, Kenfori, the actor from the movie Dawn of the Dead.
The original 1978 sequel to Night of the Living Dead from George Romero. Yes.
Oh,
AKA, the one in the mall. It's just like the one at the Whales, but it's the one in the mall.
He cameos in the sequel also, right? Doesn't he play the TV preacher in the sequel? I
think he does, Day of the Dead.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but I think I think someone from the original has a cameo in there.
Something like that. Yeah, Day of the Dead was one of those movies, like a bunch of half the funding they lost right before they shot it, so it ended up not being what they wanted to make. So, Dawn of the Dead remains the undisputed champion. But yeah, the big line that Kenfori says that I think was in, I think I've seen trailers for. I mean, I didn't see a trailer, but I saw on YouTube trailers, or it was on the DVD or whatever. Was there's this big line about how, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. And so he was just sort of like, and he's one of the main characters too. I mean, it's just like, but yeah, he was like the main. There's like two other main characters, but yeah, he was the main thrust of it. Because Romero did that, just like the original Night of the Living Dead. He cast a black man as the lead. And, he did a lot, and it was very good.
Yeah, no, it was the casting in Night of the Living Dead was pretty progressive at the time.
For 68.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They make a point of that. I don't want to spoil the end of that movie for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it is a classic.
It's available on YouTube for free because they forgot to put a copyright notice on it, so it's not copyrighted.
There you go. Also in the episode, though, on the shuttle ride over to the planet before things get hairy, Pike and M'Benga reminisce about getting sick from smoking Vidalin cigars and how those Vidalins really know how to party. Those were the ancient cat people from the animated series, from the episode The Jihad. We did a backtracking retrospective on that several weeks ago, me, Joel, and Aaron, so people go check that out if you missed it. But yeah, the Vidalins.
I think we manifested this into reality, honestly.
They are the oldest known spacefaring race, so ancient cats who smoke funny cigars.
I wonder if Pike has done missions for him, but he remembers the party, but not the missions, because they erased his memory. I assume so. He'd like to erase people's memories.
Yeah, he didn't remember the mission, but he had like the cigar that they left him with as like a parting gift, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice to remember the after party.
When they find the Klingon warning buoy floating around the planet, at first they suspect it might be a mine. This is interesting because M'Benga talks about like, there were a lot of mines left over from the war on both sides. They should have all been swept up. That's interesting to me because in Discovery, in the episode Project Daedalus, when they go to the Section 31 headquarters in Season 2 of Disco, there are mines around that station, and Saru points out that he says, the Federation does not permit the use of mines. And then Pike says, no, they do not. And then Admiral Cornwell says, well, the Federation didn't build them. So I guess the Federation will use mines, but they have to be built by someone else and then brought over by the Federation. And Pike says, like, well, that's not a very good excuse. That to me sounds like a distinction without a difference or whatever. And that's when he gets in like that whole argument with Cornwell. Yeah, so reference to the Federation using mines during the Klingon War. Also, they reference fly fishing. I forgot about that, but way back in Season 1 in Spock Amok, they established M'Benga does the fly fishing in his downtime.
Adorable.
No one liked his hat when he beamed down. It was mean.
Oh yeah, everyone made fun of that hat. I loved the Klingon tricorder we saw in this episode. Very similar to the Klingon tricorder first seen in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And then having a phaser set to overload. That's an old Star Trek trick. In fact, we saw Pike do that in Discovery Season 2. Speaking of Discovery Season 2, we saw a phaser overload then. But we have the phaser overload in this episode, the first time Strange New Worlds has done that, and that was first seen in The Conscience of the King. That's how Kirk was almost assassinated by a phaser in his quarters set to overload. Cool detail about this. Yep. Taylor probably knows exactly what I'm about to say.
I think I do too.
But if you go on the TOS set tours in Ticonderoga, New York, if you go into the Captain Kirk's quarters set, they actually have a phaser up in the red alert red light thing that's above the door. They have like a prop phaser in there, so it's cool to see that in person.
I have not been, but I have seen a picture of that, and I was like, "Oh, that's super cool" when I saw it. So yeah.
The Klingon Raider seen in this episode, that vehicle is from Discovery Season 1. That is what Tyler and Lorca escaped L'Rell's prison in the episode Choose Your Pain. And then we have a Viridium tracker in this episode that's used to get M'Benga's location. Viridium goes back to Star Trek 6. That's what Spock slapped on Kirk's back before he beamed over to the Klingon ship. So that's how they find them and beam them up from Rura Penthe later in that movie. Viridium also used in Star Trek Picard Season 1. That's what Commodore O gave Girardi to track her with. And she even says like it has to be chewed. And she gives her like that Viridium tablet. So that's why this Klingon Baitha had the Rongovian hide the Viridium in an olive. So I guess she knew like, oh, this M'Benga guy, he likes to drink these puny human drinks and then eat the olives after. So
garnish, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, but we saw that guy, as I saw Rachel point out in the chat, but we saw him give the drink to M'Benga at the wedding. In the previous episode, Wedding Bell Blues, the Rongovian. He's the same diplomat that was there in Spock Amok.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he's like, oh, you're the Enterprise chief medical officer, right? So now we know why he was so eager to meet the Doctor.
Yeah, I did see people point out, it was like, that was kind of a weird scene during that episode, and then it paid off.
Well, that's all I got on Gornegs. We're running a little late. I don't know. People still want subspace transmissions. We're at 1:45. I can do some of these, I guess.
I think you can do so.
But yeah, y'all let us know what you thought about Shuttle to Kenfori. We might share your response next week. We received some feedback on last week's episodes, though. We were asking what did people think about Hegemony Part 2 or Wedding Bell Blues. On Blue Sky, Irium says, I definitely needed the lighter mood of that second episode after the opener. That was some heavy stuff. I feel bad for Pike, but it showed his resilience and strength as captain. So, Irium, let me know if you got like enough of a lighter mood in that second episode before getting to the zombie shenanigans in this one. On Twitter, Arthur said, liked both more than disliked, but I think the two weakest of the series so far. So wow, the two weakest episodes of Strange New Worlds so far came out last week, according to Arthur. Putting the Gorn to sleep like they were Borg and TNG's cliffhanger was a bit redundant for me. Also, the use of Trelane and Q's voice. They got over the brainwash way too easily. So, and no red alert. And on YouTube, Opinions No One Cares About said, really enjoyed the second random Vermont reference. So yeah, there was that shout out to, I guess Chapel's mom is from Vermont.
Yeah.
So both Palia and Chapel both spent time in Vermont. I guess there must be a writer on this show who is from Vermont. But that's all we got this week. Just want to remind everyone that there will be some big news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, or depending on when you're listening or watching this, it's already out there. So please go check out Trek Culture's coverage of that. I'm going to be working on that with them this weekend. And otherwise, please come back next week. We have another new episode of Strange New Worlds to talk about. This is the Jonathan Frakes directed episode, the Hollywood murder mystery.
Indeed.
And that is going to have some type of holodeck usage in it. So I'm curious to see what that's all about. Come back next week for a Space Adventure Hour deep dive discussion on Friday. Rachel will be doing the first reaction stream on Thursday, so check that out. And if anyone out there cares at all about Superman, who just had like a big movie, I do a Superman podcast on Monday night, so look up the Super Maniacs. You can watch us live on YouTube or listen to us on the podcast platforms. But otherwise, that's going to do it. But thank you, everyone, for going on this trip to Kenfori with us. Hope you made it back without getting devoured. And we'll have fun, I guess, on the holodeck next week. Until then, as always, live long and prosper, y'all.
Subscribe to YouTube to watch the Tex-Trek podcast live or listen to us later on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Stephen Fatheree on socials at TXTrek. Thank you and take care.